Good evening. Let's call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. We're going to start with the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Sunshine law notice. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. This meeting is being held in person through the Zoom meeting platform being broadcast from Bicentennial Hall, 25 Cedar Avenue, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this regular council meeting, July 14th, 2025, is available by call and phone number or through web conference Zoom. Members of the public will be on mute until it's time for questions or comments, which will be an end. At that time, the public has the opportunity to question or comment by phone or through Zoom by the raise hand button and will be called on at the appropriate time. Notice of this meeting was included in the schedule of meetings, which was adopted by resolution number 2025-13 and sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times on January 7th, 2025, posted on the Borough website, the Bulletin Board and Municipal Building, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Borough Clerk was directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Allison, may I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Cole. Here. Pinistelli.
Here.
Bowie.
Yes.
Cox.
Here.
Barbara. Olson.
Here.
Here's Administrator York, Lieutenant Sobel, and Member Dallas, CFO Britton, Chief McGovern, and DPW Director.
Thank you. Jumping right into it, we're going into the tree removal ordinance. Attorney Sobel.
Yes. So, every ordinance that we draft and file with the county, for review by the municipal court, judge presiding judge of municipal courts, who's Judge Newman. After review, the penalty schedule on the tree removal ordinance, which got on my phone. The penalties that we had, for the illegal removal of trees, it ranged from $1,000 to $4,000 by way of state statute, even though it's silent as to this, it's the tree removal, max penalty of $2,000. So what I would advise at this time is tailor the penalty schedule to reflect a maximum of 2,000. So the range, here it goes from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, based on the different categories, based on the caliber of the tree. I think what you need to now do, what you need to do is to determine what that penalty schedule looks like with a maximum penalty of 2,000. So that's basically, that's the only thing we're here. The rest of the ordinance was approved. That's the only thing that needs to be
This is the type of thing we would have to go through 3 separate meetings to approve again.
Yes.
And then what?
Because it's not de minimis, so yes.
And what takes place in the time period of those 3 meetings? Does the old fine system?
Intro with the amendment and then the approval.
Okay, so I mean, was it 4 fines? Does that be 4 fines? So that's, and it used to start with 1,000 and the maximum was 4,000?
Starting with every month.
No, but what was it before?
It started at 1,000 and then
Right.
it went to 4,000, so it ain't gonna, it says $1,000.
Okay, so I mean, I would suggest that we keep the minimum of 1,000 and we just spread out the other 2, within that.
250.
Well, you go to 250 and then another 250, you're at 1,250, 1,500, and there's a jump to 2,000. I would probably space it.
Can I just interject really quick?
2,000. Go ahead, Stephen.
So the way it's penalty, it's Schedule B in the ordinance in the packet. And there's two penalty schedules. Penalty B, Schedule B1 is where the governing body did a replacement tree of some quantity plus a smaller penalty. And then penalty Schedule B2 was just the monetary penalty. So Schedule B1 is fine the way it is. It's penalty Schedule B2 that needs to be adjusted. And you can either just eliminate Schedule B2 altogether, or you can revise both schedules to be accommodating of one another if the person is going to also replace the tree.
But I'm not, so Judge Newman did not have an issue with the replacement fee schedule?
So that's table A, and that's just it's a different, it has nothing to do with the penalty schedule. That's if they are going to replant the trees. And it's for a reason that it's unsalvageable. The penalty schedule is just when they want to knock down the tree for another reason.
So.
So table A is fine, it's Schedule B, and Schedule B2 particularly, that needs to be addressed.
The thing is, though, that I definitely didn't, I thought these fees were too high, but that was the only thing stopping people from clear cutting. So now we're lowering from, and tell me if I'm wrong, but we're lowering the fee and we're still allowing them to cut. So this is just making it even easier and cheaper. And I understand we have to do it, but I was opposed to clear cutting in the beginning, and this was the only saving grace that we were, the borough was making money, which I understand they can't really make this much money on. So now we're just allowing them to clear cut and they're getting a discount. So
You can increase the number of replacement trees in addition to lowering the monetary penalty.
But they would still have to opt to replace and pay the fee? They would have to do.
Not if the governing body eliminates Schedule B2 altogether. B2 is basically if the person does not want to replace the trees at all.
But again, that's the only thing that we were using as to discourage people from clear cutting, and now we're like, eh. Yeah. Cool.
Figure out the diet. We had a stiffer penalty schedule, very too high. We also have large tree scale or large tree study approval, that's a cost. So that would be a little bit extra. So that will remain, so it still is punitive to take down multiple trees. And if we have a state statute ceiling, I don't know any other way to.
No, we obviously have to do this, but this just, I think, should urge us to reevaluate the current ordinance fully, as we had talked about when we passed it, that we were definitely going to put this on the docket to talk about again, that the shade tree was going to look at it again. And from my understanding, I don't know that they've looked at it again, but we're kind, again, the idea was that people were going to pay money to the borough, and that money was going to be put into a fund, which even if they were cutting down trees, we were going to use that money to replace trees somewhere else in Fairhaven. So now we're just losing coverage.
No,
I just wanted to be clear though, for purpose of, the workshop, is the only thing that should be discussed at this time.
I know.
I understand, so you're trying to create as far as a way that to make it.
Yes.
So the penalty schedule, even though it's not the 4,000, there's other way to.
And if we're not doing it now, we have to at least bring this back to Shade Tree to figure out new ways to look at this, because again, we're just now allowing clear cutting for a lot cheaper.
I think that it'd be important to assess this piece of what are if we're gonna change it, and I know we have to, I agree. What are the deterrents that remain in place and how effective are they? Personally, I'd like to see the schedules and a copy of the ordinance. I know we're workshopping something, that kind of information is important, and for me to be able to participate intelligently in a workshop, that those information, that material isn't here. So I clearly will do that.
What part of the.
The current ordinance.
I can share my screen. I thought that it was in everyone's packet, but now I'm
We
realizing
can't
it's
see
just
it.
They can't say
Okay.
Christina. So I'll just go through my personal, I need to look at that in order to participate substantively in the workshop.
So.
I do think it's a good idea for the Sheep Commission to. Probably, I realize we have a very narrow sign, so I appreciate where you're coming from. But if it's unused, undoes some of the built-in deterrents that we were hopefully going to accomplish with this, I think, the scope of the workshop might have to expand, and if not now, then in the future.
So my advice in this time will be is to suggest the following schedule, right? Let's get that approved, submit the ordinance, and then if we propose a new way or new ways to deter. And that can go through the same process and workshop that in the date. But as far as, because right now, we have a penalty schedule that's not enforceable.
Right.
So, and I think we just got our first, we just got our first violation, through enforcement. So what I'm nervous about is if there's no ordinance in place
Yeah,
to enforce, then 6 months down the road, not only doing clear cutting, now they're thumbing their nose at us and
well,
saying.
let's get this lawful immediately, I mean, that's what I'm hearing you say, and I completely agree. But then you come back to it when there's less pressure in order to get this corrected.
Absolutely.
Their directive was 2,000 is the maximum, or do you use them? Okay, so I'm just gonna suggest to all of us as a guide, 1325 and 1650 is the middle two numbers, just to get something on the books, get that process going. I don't disagree with you that now you need to look at the whole ordinance. I just want to caution members of the dais that in talking to members of this body, some of the sentiments towards some of these big trees have gone in the other direction based on the storm that we had a few weeks ago and giant trees landing inside people's houses. So, I also don't want to make it, go in the other situation where trees are more easily taken down than they used to be either. But that's a separate conversation. Allison, let's put that on the next agenda so we can get the fine schedule going the right way. And let's continue to have that other conversation. Well, so we can.
We had, the ordinance had a severability clause, I guess. They had a severability clause.
Severability, yes.
So we just have to do the table list.
Yes.
Okay,
So we can introduce July 28th and list production for August 18th. And then I believe.
What, could I ask a question? Just for my own personal education, it would be helpful to me to see the before and the after, the original versus the newly proposed. Just so, could you email that to us over the next couple of days? Yeah. Yeah, and.
Christine's original.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
table A, which you said is fine, but I'd like to see B1, B2, and what the new proposed is.
Absolutely.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, next up, we're moving to various paving projects. Engineer Gardella is here with us. He's excited about the new JETS contract for Garrett Olson.
Good evening. So this is something that came out of engineering and DPW subcommittee. In the last month or so, kind of talking about some paving projects, some repair work that we need to get done throughout the borough sites. And we were trying to be conscious of cost and also try to figure out a way, how do we move something forward? So I said, let's workshop, let's talk about these sites. Let's talk about options, whether we do it through a co-op, the Ocean Education Commission has the ability to build and pave through their co-op, which we are a member of. And then obviously we have the option to bid. So we can package a couple of these locations together. That have the bid and get the numbers and make decisions from there. So basically, there's 4 sites. We have the Fifth Street area, which is in front of the police station. If you recall, the water company came in and put the water main in. We had the middle paved basically up to the frontage of the PUD. Then they picked up again and made them. The reason for that obviously is construction is still going on, it still has some utility tie-ins, et cetera. And then we actually moved some of that pavement elsewhere in the borough and had to go company pave some additional work as a trade-off. So that, with that site, the next site is over at Fairhaven Field. We have owned by the concession stand, we have a number of walkways, concrete, asphalt, that are somewhat deteriorated. We've also seen stone dust trails and lead down to the tennis courts and some of the walking paths that experience the erosion washout. So we feel paving some of those sections there, which kind of the gateway to those trails anyway, would solve a few problems with erosion, foot traffic, and clean things up a bit as you go to that site. The third site is, as you know, the rapid nothing to DPW, paving is not part of that project. The entire site basically part of it. And the internal site, where the staff and, walking activities occur in that area. And the fourth site is the firehouse came to Personnel recently. Fire department came to us and have they have an interest in building a parking lot. So 4 sites, district training, Fairhaven Fields, DPW, and firehouse. So what we did get some quotes through the co-op. The contractors actually be repaving, they are in multiple paper, we do a lot of that. They did our projects and we can make some more relationship, obviously. But the cost pricing, is competitive, but it also can be possibly a little higher than bidding a project. The other challenges you have with the wall, it's simply money you pay. You don't have the ability to add to the company, you don't have the ability to do some site restoration. When we do these types of projects, even doing trail work, there's gonna be some topsoil that we need to do, some top dressing and restoration efforts, just to clean things up along the paved edge. There's also some concrete work that's out there, as you come along the parking lot, those sidewalks will put us into that high, so we're gonna have to go years. So obviously through time, we're gonna actually crack and minor deterioration. The other sites, Fish Street, you can go in and build a Fish Street. That doesn't necessarily solve some of the drainage concerns that we have. You need replacing some of the curb, redoing some things to make the water go where it needs to go. And the ADA would have elevation. That street is older, should be in relation to curb and sidewalk. The ADA variants aren't necessarily compliant. Sidewalks will be across the local ADA. Driveway with circles along, but also know that 1 or 2 residents have been experiencing some drainage issues where if we repitch things a little bit, we'll be able to take that drainage elsewhere. The DPW, like I mentioned, we kind of put this in here just for discussion. It's something we need now, it's something we need to do 3 years from now. It's paving, I've been here 18 years, is no paving as more houses, so the problem in a lot of the Fairhaven Fields, 20+ years, obviously we've got heavy trucks, throughout the day, just based on activity of the site and paving is deteriorating. It's functional, but it's deteriorating. The other piece of that is the part of the field pumps. Technically, we should have a concrete pad similar to like a people, you know, car, a fueling station, not an asphalt, you know, not to be bad. That's something that we began to not project as well. And then over at the firehouse, I still will work with Chris, building paving, yeah, sealing, some crack filling, you know, general maintenance. You know, and then obviously, like, parking students.
And just one thing to add with regard to the firehouse, from their friends, like, where they, the trustee, they're pretty confused. They all will be. So the borough will even pay half that cost if the governing body wasn't interested in, getting involved.
So, moving, I guess, backwards from the firehouse parking lot, as I mentioned, build blacktop the whole parking lot. Do some crack filler. And do all the traffic lines, you know, all the parking stalls. The pure asphalt paving price is just under 53,000. Now, that is not go up, that is a price that the firehouse obtained on their own, they did get 2 or 3 quotes.
Right.
Antelopes, one of the other ones, and
It's our portion or 26.5 is it?
26. So I think that's a competitive price, but once again, it would be a reimbursement. That's a CFO thing, but it would be, I guess, a reimbursement back to.
Yeah, we got, that's all right, just.
Yeah, we would pay, and they would be much less. The other site I had mentioned was the DPW. So we did get a quote to strictly building paving, and then you didn't have to add the pump station on the fuel pump. Their price was just shy of 79,000, so say 80,000. I did an engineer's estimate based on the current pricing. My estimate's a little higher, I'm not around 90, but that includes. You know, we have to strike all the parking stalls, we have to do paved marking control, we have an arrow in, an arrow out, the entrance, the exit. There's other restoration, like I mentioned, there's crushed stone around the site, which is inside at that time. When you build a paving, you gotta break that out, have a clean edge. There's a little more involved than just bringing building machine pavement. There's some handwork that's involved, so I added some site restorations. And then I did add, as we usually do, we have a line item for traffic control, very good piece, just because of the location of the site, trucks coming in. Probably up the easy area, we're gonna need some assistance from PD to get those trucks in and out of there safely. Depending on what time of year that we do it. So my estimate, like I said, is 90, Furies was about 80, but I have a little extra work in there just to cover us for, just so it's a complete job. The other project was the Fairhaven Fields. Core pricing was 53,000. That just included removing portions of the stone dust trail, installing some blacktop, and cleaning up some of the area in and around the concession stand. My estimate, actually a couple thousand lower, like 51 and change. That includes the same scope of work, but also needs to also seeing that. Once again, and move on, it's all clean up. And then the final site is the Fish Street area. We did not get a price co-op because of the, this is more of a road job. This would include, like I said, placing the curving sidewalk, the work is maple, making sure everything's in the gate line, making sure everything works, what's going on across the street, at the, tying in pedestrian route circulation, paving and cleaning up the intersection of Maple, doing all the ADA there, and then, bringing some of the sidewalk around in the church, tie that in appropriately. And we are at about 125. So those are the 4 sites that kind of gives you an idea of where they are members and
Rich, do any of these qualify for the New Jersey municipal aid? For about
they would not be ranked very highly.
Is that again? Sorry, didn't catch.
These types of, the DOT likes to see like a full load of these services project from the start, you know, from the beginning of the load to the end. Get everything done, they don't particularly.
This feels like a.
Nothing really offensive. Okay, yeah.
I just want to point out, I don't know that I've heard it clearly to everyone here, the one at Fairfield Fields is most certainly a safety issue. It's in a few different places, so when you park, if you're walking to the left of the concession stand down towards the baseball field, there's
Right.
consistently been erosion there, which obviously people jogging, you know, leads to tripping. Also, it's concrete there when you walk towards the concession stand on the side where they serve hot dogs and stuff. You'll see a lot of, you know, the roots or whatever it is that cracked. Same sort of thing, and then a little bit as well to the, you were to walk down to the tennis courts from that area to the right side. As you wrap around the tennis courts to around where that equipment, it looks like pool equipment fenced in, right in that area as well.
Is this the site also the ADU?
No,
No, I mean, all the work would be done permanently. This is more maintenance and then it would.
Plus, the asphalt is better.
Given
That
that any
aspect.
principals have property can be, you have the right to be, if you wanted to. So,
I'm sorry, say that?
3 acres of started the deal.
Yeah.
You have the right to, if you want.
so the part you were talking about, Mayor, next to the tennis courts, that's part of the main path though, correct? The only thing I would say is that like a lot of people jog on that path, so then it's going from mostly still whatever the gravel, and then you're gonna make some of that hardscape.
Yeah, stone dust, but in the areas we're talking about, aggregate, larger aggregate, is actually coming through, it's the stone dust washing it out. You know, rain.
Yeah,
So you got these larger, this larger aggregate in these areas, which makes it pretty rough.
is there any other natural solution? I'm just wondering, also, I just think about if it's eroding, is some of it from drainage, and would then putting a hardscape sort of make the drainage in the other areas worse because it's just running off?
So there is drainage, the benefit of the asphalt stabilize the path permanently. But we have drainage, we have door drains throughout the site. And in these areas, there's actually catch basins, door drains where it would, where it's gonna go, and then
Okay.
it recharges, and then. We've tried a few things, but I worked with DPW, we did one trail last year. We really thought we had it, if we rated it,
Mhm.
we even relocated part of it, it's still washing out.
There's a great change in those stories.
Yeah.
There's a grade change,
Yeah.
it drops, 2 to 3 feet or so, or even more.
So our narrative, we have still does that, but with the great change.
Yeah, it's just, been ongoing.
Yeah.
I think it was also brought up that the stone dust gets in the sneakers, the soles of the sneakers, and then that gets dropped onto the tennis courts and causes a problem.
So this is.
That's hugging the tennis court.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't know if anybody's actually jogging around the tennis court.
Girls on the run, I can tell you they are. Cause so the girls on the run definitely. The 5K, I think,
The
was.
far path, the bigger
They would
path
stay on the main path.
by the church.
That's not part of the main path.
If you
That's
stop at
the
where
area right
entrance to the
around
door
the
was.
tennis courts. What's up with
It's just a small section. To fix that.
At that one spot, so it goes on that main path for a very small spot.
So it would be a little bit on the path.
So there's about,
It's right by the pool, as I call it, right?
Issue.
You haven't been off.
No, but it looks like pool equipment, I don't know what else to call
I know you're talking about.
it. Yeah.
So like I said, tonight's discussion was really like, we gotta do these projects. You can't do change orders, well, and these things, do some of this offsite work, or maybe the DPW. My thought was, let's have discussion. Here's some pricing. You guys can think about what's it, what these options are, we can take it back to the DPW and engineering meeting. We could really look at the money we have in place, to get some of this work on. But we do know a couple of these sites we need to be taken care of, and, I figured let's have this discussion and the options.
That's my next.
Where would this be paid out of?
Yeah.
So the warrant back into that, and what Mr. Street, because it does tie into the buildings, would be able to come out of that.
Out of what?
That new ordinance for the new buildings.
So it would be a change order?
No, it will not be a change order. We can't do a change order because this is what we should have been aware of from the beginning. It would just be a new bid.
Oh, okay.
So it would be on the same resolution as the buildings, but it would be paid out of the same bond.
Similar to Maple Ave.
Yes,
So we'd be
correct.
bonding for it though, for those.
No.
So can you rank them?
There's already existing fund.
Gotcha.
There's existing funds for the new facilities. What I would have to do is double check with bond council about this street. Because it's not on property, but it is part of it.
Mhm.
DPW is no problem, it's the same property. So what I have to check with bond council is whether or not we have to change the ordinance to include this street. That's the whole, but that's not a big deal.
However, if we don't spend the money, it doesn't create permanent debt. Correct?
Correct.
So, either way, it might be approved already, but if you don't spend it,
Still, exactly.
then our taxpayers don't end up paying for it.
Correct.
And we could pay it down faster though, pay it down, but like,
I'm
I
sorry.
forget, I don't even know. Okay, question. Firehouse and Fairhaven Field, where would that be paid out of?
So this is not a regular talk about this for
Okay.
purpose, so I did not do it. Fairhaven Fields, it's a small amount, so possibly, leftover other road jobs, I apologize, I'm not prepared. I remember, let's say when you guys were on rec, and did a deep dive on rec budget, and there are funds in there for field units, right, and park maintenance, because I remember we'll try to look at that for other projects, so. I don't know what we use this year or what set aside for next year, but I remember that in the line and I had some. I'm sorry, what? Just the question. The parks field maintenance line item in the budget. I don't know. So, no, the budgeted amount, so we're looking for Fairhaven Field is, you're looking at over 50,000, and that's not something that. It's not narrow, I'm just wondering if a portion of it funds.
Yes, right.
I mean, if that's what you choose to do, however, we don't know what's gonna come up throughout the year, or what we've already spent in the year, so.
In the area next to the tennis courts that would be paving, wouldn't be part of the RFH contract that we have?
No, so our basic contract is specifically for the tennis courts themselves. You're making some tennis courts, so that actually has tennis courts, so it's really involved in that.
Is it worth a call to them to see if they're interested in not dragging stone dust onto the court?
Conversation with you offline and discuss our engagements with them.
Question.
I just have one question. I could appreciate the need for all of these items and the universal things in Fairhaven that need attention. Did the committee call the municipal facilities to really look at these are the top 4?
This list came out of. We have to do the street, we have to probably do something over Fairhaven, so. Fire department came with us. Basically, like say the line I've been talking about, the reception libraries. Let's look at that thing. This is not something that we did with the micro projects, where we did 20 different sites throughout the borough. This is more just, let's wrap up these last couple of projects. And get some maintenance done on some of these other sites. And we know we have the ability to do it for co-op, but I can raise maintenance, think a better bidding, better off bidding this. And get more competitive price. And to my point was, and you can get all of restoration and all the other stuff that needs to be done, better than just. I was really wishing they tear up the lawn. Pave the home and then we're stuck. It's actually,
I personally agree with you.
cleaning folks up, yeah.
It's just so that with more.
And as you see, the numbers are basically very, very.
Can I ask a quick thing? It's specific about Fifth Street. One of the residents had asked me if there was talk about taking some of the parking spots off on the one side of the other side of the street. Because
They
they,
still do all this work if, you know. The borough decides to make any.
Oh, yeah, so would that be part of, as we're paving, that would be the time to look at this as well? Parking,
We can certainly look at that and we've been looking at that now.
yeah,
Normally that's just some streets, couple street signs.
Yeah, so we pretty do that outside, so if you look at our city to me about over stop and bump it, maybe this. That just requires signage, that would have any difference in design, or
Yeah.
just the additional signage, which, you know, we can do very bad on the board, but. That is really gonna be fine.
This would include those with some safety enhancements at the intersection where. We would line up the crosswalks appropriately, do the AD and have some things back, which we're currently doing.
and, I'm sorry.
Cool.
It's been shared. To piggyback on Councilwoman Cole. Are there other projects though, or like other streets that are in more dire need for? To be
These are the
redone?
streets that need paving, like I said, this was just the short list.
Just so you know, in addition, we're doing a full analysis right now of every street in the borough. If you ask in a month, we'll probably have a better answer for that as far as actually being able to give you a analysis.
But then I wonder, would it be better for us in a month to make this decision based off of that full analysis?
Potentially,
Yeah.
for very fields, I would say no to you. I mean, that's, you know, it's not like we're comparing that to another situation.
Yeah.
It's certainly a safety situation. You know,
Yes, normally what I do as the borough engineer is. When the governing body or the finance committee make a request for us to submit our capital requests. That's when I would look at big ticket like paving projects, drainage.
Mhm.
There's the same type of work. This is just like I said, short list of things we know we have to get done. Hopefully it's not.
Mhm.
And. On our discussion. Really through a co-op. One or two of these for now, bid.
Like, I don't think this necessarily prevents us from doing other streets,
Yeah.
like, and we could. You know, governing body and, or, you know, each one could opt for another micro projects, you know, to really attack even more streets. I know Rich is excited about that.
Yes.
But that's something that certainly is not off the table if we think that that's a priority. The last question I had is, and I just wanna vocalize on the record. Cause I do run a lot and walk a lot around town, I feel like New Jersey American Water is destroying our streets. And I'm not saying that in the way like criticizing them as a utility, they're actually, you know, they've been, you know, given direction by the state of New Jersey to change out all these, you know, lines of, you know, and they're all in the street. And they just keep cutting up our streets, and I feel like, you know, our newer streets, our older streets, is there any opportunity, there may not be, to reach out to New Jersey American Water and see if they can help us, navigate maybe some of these other problems we're having around town with paving, instead of asking them to continually pave curb to curb in all of these places that they're disturbing.
He actually had an email about having this morning, okay? Yes, yeah, and we compiled a list of all those locations based on all the street opening permits. And we want to go out and look at everything with that impact along with a realistic approach. So.
Great, when we're able to assess and prioritize our own streets, that would be we can have that come in, or at least do that level of coordination. I know some of it's driven by homeowners, algorithm prioritizes who's up and when they're gonna be in town and everything. For public health reasons, so not
I mean, we do
not
know,
important work, but still, if we're prepared, we can get ahead of the disruption. Mayor's described this, it is actually on a track.
yeah, and that program is a 10-year program, I think, for about average, for maybe 96. The main replacement of projects that we've experienced. The gas companies, as far as you know, is pretty much not in area, and the water company obviously just finished and go aggressive. You know, place to drive, obviously including on the road and then one of the interior streets. So we don't anticipate seeing those types of projects for a long time, but it's these one-off type things we've seen.
Is the Red Bank utility, is the municipality aware of, our ordinance? If I remember, New Jersey Water wanted to get them done immediately, Red Bank was trying to space it out over the 10-year cycle.
Yes, so Red Bank has been, as we had the last water meeting. Probably about a year ago over there, they had done the replacement for most of our customers, so catching up. So even though they were looking at spacing it out 10 years, they had them proactively before, and they are looking, be required.
They are. But that might be an expense that, they don't care to take on themselves also, if they're, okay. Let me ask the members of the body, is this something you're ready to give direction on? If not, what information do you need? Do you want to see these numbers on paper with like a mapping of what we're talking about? Or you want to work with Rich to visit the sites? What would be helpful going in? Sure.
You talk about, financing these projects, it's going to potentially come out of the ordinance for facilities. I would suggest that we make a decision one way or the other, because we're going to be taking one part, look at that now that we're coming to an end. As to how much of the funding we are going to need to permanently finance versus not needed. So just putting it out there that if we're thinking about using the ordinance for the facility, there's facilities ordinance to pay for those two jobs. We just want to think about it sooner rather than later.
So that actually was, I was going to ask for, a sort of more comprehensive understanding of where we are financially. There's been change orders that are understandable, we have lots of moving parts here, and it's easy to lose track. I'm mindful of the total that was authorized, but not sure exactly what to ask for, but some way to get my head wrapped around the total expense, when it's gonna hit taxpayers, and a feel for. This is probably a drop in the bucket, if I can read your mind from here, but I would appreciate that information.
Well, so not, if
Yeah,
I want to get back to it, I do have some information on change orders. Just knowing that we have additional change orders coming out tonight, just not decided to get some information together, so I do have some what we're looking for, and that's what we're this evening. But as far as deciding on these jobs at this juncture, I just wanted to put it out there that if we're going to use those funds, we want to make that decision sooner rather than after we decided to release funds. And
So I think I'm asking the finance committee to give us a one pager on where.
that's fine. And that maybe what we have tonight, and then I can certainly provide whatever else it is that you looking for.
I'd love to see the total amount be the ordinance for what was spent today, including all the change orders. What's the total amount left over that we got to play with? Or any other priorities, because I don't know what else I'm not in.
Well, it sounds like you're also asking us if we think we should go towards the co-op or the two different sources of funding, one with the bond, one with, I guess, there's some other money that we have left.
Whether we use the car or not, we still.
I'd rather have a
Oh,
special
that's
meeting than rush through a vote here on something that it sounds like everyone's not comfortable on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that we, it's not time sensitive, but like this just came up. Not, I don't mean like that, but I mean, as far as getting all of the details and making sure everyone's comfortable and sees our entire financial situation. So, and I'm open, we could do a Zoom even, but I think we should make sure we have the information before we move forward on it.
Yeah, and I think, the fourth part, so we really have council approach a decision that makes sense, even just to give you an idea, even with the conversation with the firehouse. They wouldn't be looking to even pay, if, again, the council was to agree to split the cost of that, they would be available to even pay that until probably sometime in October, getting back to everything they have going on, so. So we certainly do have time to, to come back and, take a look at what we have as far as funding and make it informal.
In the meantime, the Councilman Oliver brought forward a change order, it always has a follow rights in it.
Yeah.
And so it's in there,
Yes.
my name is in there, so you have a time information to pass.
I just saw that is what remains and.
What remains at the time, I can tell you what the, well, the ordinance was, what.
I think we know how much time, and Rich could provide some insight on that.
That's fine.
Oh, okay, that was fine, we're 30 days out or 60 days out.
For facilities.
Yeah, it's gonna be great to know, of course, narrow to the end and then close there.
Rich, have you been to the firehouse parking lot? Have you,
I'm familiar with it.
it didn't have that top. I mean,
This gives time for the members of the governing body to visit.
so I think everybody should.
Yeah.
And it will be evident, some projects are more critical than others. So I was just curious.
And Rich, if you could kind of lay out what we wouldn't be able to accomplish with doing the co-op, because it sounded like there were some limitations.
Sure.
And like with each project, what we wouldn't be able to do with the co-op, but from here, it sounds like there's really not a huge difference. I mean, some of them it's against the co-op, right? I
All
mean,
these just
yeah,
an easy way from this now, just one middle street.
Okay.
Without taking into account any or explanation.
I'm also point out members of the governing body might want a special meeting to vote on the firehouse parking lot, because the next meeting is at the firehouse.
Yeah, that's right. And then the bioelectrics program is taking on, it's set on July 2nd. That, DPW director, which is not going to be today, going over the map that has been done so far. And we've actually came together a lot of helpers from the over a good half of the program. So, and that's another great tool we'll have too, that allows us to provide those metrics to the governing body, when we decide if we should move projects down to that. That's and just want to add one thing, I like my question about the co-op, and the co-ops, it's coming out as the state contract for us to be a little part of it. We don't have to put the project down to bid. Roughly the co-op pricing down to about $130 on ton, that's almost what the pricing is. And again, you could put it out to bid, it could be cheaper, it could be at a lower price. But at this time, that's the best price that they have, and it saved us from putting it out. It's the other but there are limitations, you can get better pricing.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have public comment on agenda items, it's only for agenda items. Please observe a 3-minute time limit. Please stand and identify yourself by clearly stating your name and address to the record. Anyone with agenda items only? Allison?
No.
Thank you. Approval of minutes.
wait, there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bill Perkins,
I didn't see you there, Bill. Yeah.
Hey, Bill, you want to go close to the hour, and then close to your, I apologize, but it'll be your first visit by the town hall for meetings, so this is such a very useful.
Well, one thanks for very, so my just comment on the paving for DPW, I guess I'm just a little concerned, $90,000. We didn't know we were gonna have to do DPW when we did all this work, I just think it should have been included. It's kind of a rhetorical,
Sure.
I'm not looking for,
I have it. Because I asked you the
just
same
think
question.
we knew we were doing this project, we knew we were gonna have the construction in the area, it should have been included. I think we would have gotten a better price on milling and paving if we put it in our initial big package for $8 million. The other thing was the concrete for the
The pad,
No.
concrete pad.
yeah, so why isn't it a concrete pad? Why?
You mean originally when they put it in way back?
Well, is it new? Did we just put in a new?
There's a new fuel tank there now.
Oh,
Did we just put it in and we ripped it out and we put in asphalt?
No, the asphalt's what used to be there.
This is a pad next.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying, I realize it should be.
It's a
That's why
companion.
I just
Bill,
thought ripped out.
just answer your question, none of the parking lot was disturbed, when they changed the gas system over, it was put the exact same location to where the previous system was. Previously, there was not a concrete pad where the pump was, so we put the exact location, because there was the existing concrete pad, there's the one that exists.
Moving forward, that should have been included. Because we know now that we need one, okay, we would then need one, just like we knew we should have been included paving in this.
Yes, and I will answer that at the time. The choice was made because it was a cost savings and we didn't, the additional site work, when we were looking at the whole project. We were trying to minimize the impact to our taxpayers. I asked the question to Councilman LaBarbera, he could probably answer. You know, better than I can. We did disturb some of the site with a lot of those containers and stuff that were moved, and some stuff came up that we weren't anticipating. Which changed the game a little bit, but I'll get a clear answer from Councilman LaBarbera, I'll get back to you. And that's something that the governing body can look at before they.
I just think we looked at coming in with a good number, which was great. Now, on the back end, getting to get the cost anyway, so.
So sometimes,
Really,
I think also in the back of our heads, I still remember a meeting where Councilman Koch says you're gonna disturb the DPW, you're gonna go in the rafters and you're gonna create more of a problem for yourself than you realized you had. So when we put the job out, we really tried to minimize the financial impact, knowing that there might be some other costs that come. For the most part, we've avoided those costs, and now we have this beautiful building, and I'm sure part of this is to complete the site, but that'll be a decision that, you know, majority of the governing body will do.
I totally agree that, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing, I'm just saying that. It should have been, could have been included sooner than I think we may have looked at. My other comment is on the tree ordinance in terms of looking for punitive or however we want, whatever you want to call it. New York City Parks Department has a penalty where you pay by caliper. So if you take out a 30-inch caliper tree, you have to replace 30 inches in caliper. I'm not, don't quote me on the exact, because as it gets bigger, the caliper, the replacement gets small. But you're replacing time with the caliper tree you're replacing. So it might help us around the dollar value, because you don't have to replace, you don't have to write up a check, but you have to.
I think
But
that,
I'm not sure if you don't want to do that, you have to.
We had that,
Yeah, you have it.
It's not one.
It's not a, there's not a rate, there's a broad, yeah, I'm saying.
it sounded like,
A cement tree for
But
a lot.
12-inch caliber tree, you have to replace it with 12-inch now.
I thought I understood though, the issue we had wasn't with the replacement trees for replacement trees, it was with the penalty, if you got caught.
There is, we do designate a certain caliber that has to be replaced.
But it's only 2 inches. The Bill's point is different. He's saying, well, one of the tools you can use to deter is planting a large tree to replace a large tree is more expensive. While it's not a fine, it can make a property renting twice and then give them options. They allow them to remedy or satisfy.
Yeah, that's already a version of that, but I'm gonna look at it, yeah.
It's only 2 inches.
the number. I'm not gonna sit down.
Please state your name and address, sir.
Chris Rodriguez, 134 Mount. Great to see you guys. As a fellow runner and walker, Rich, when you were speaking, by the pool equipment, by the irrigation equipment down by the tennis courts. If we can also just run some, gravel next to the pavement, I think people will probably try to avoid the pavement anyway. And they're just gonna run on the grass and it's gonna create a bit of a mess on the side of it. So my suggestion is when we do pavement, I think it's a good idea, by the way. You should consider putting some gravel around the sides of it, so the people who do want to step off and create like a muddy mess next to the pavement. So that's all. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Anyone else? Allison?
No.
Okay, we're gonna move to approval of minutes, June 23rd, 2025, regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved. Second.
Allison, may I please have a roll call?
Yes.
Kinsella.
Yes.
Chloe? Yes.
Scott. Yes. Paulson.
Thank you. Next up, new business consent agenda 2025-194 through 204. Before I ask for a motion approved, does anyone want to separate anything?
I have a quick, go ahead.
Just a quick correction in a title of 203, 2025, should be in order of 31, not 27. The body of it has 31. The title is okay.
So mine's along those lines. I just have a silly typo. Do we have to pull it out to fix the typo?
What number?
It's 196. And it's page 10. The second to last line says ZON instead of ZONE. Page 10. Zone is typo. I don't know if it matters, but that's it. So.
Do we need to pull it out? No, we're good. Okay, anyone have comments on
I
it?
just,
Yep.
this is on, 2025-204. So this is our 31st change order, correct? 31st change order. The change orders have amounted to approximately $180,000. No?
For the EDMCC, it's 145.
Okay, and aren't we doing another? Well, we're going from $8,285,000 to $8,452,000.
I'm sorry, we have that.
Do you have 203 there? So.
No, so 203 is not included. Prior to 203, we're at 146.
Oh, well, what's the 8285?
8285 is the original
Correct.
purchase order. Yeah.
And as a result of the series of change orders, the contract amount is now 8452, correct?
Not so. What we paid to date, or what's been updated, not including tonight's change, we're 8438.9.
Right, and now we're adding another 13,000
So that would put us,
up to 180 and change orders.
I was not including that.
Okay, so that's my point. If we approve it tonight, we've now accumulated $180,000 from change orders. So I wish Drew was here, he might have a better answer. But number one, that's like 2%. Is that within the range of expectation when we started this whole project, that there would be a percentage of change orders? So that's within what we projected.
Yeah.
And do we have any idea what other change orders we might be looking at in the future? Or would that be difficult to tell?
No, that's not a deed.
No, I know,
But it would be part of that. So there, I mean, they're still negotiating some other change orders at this moment.
Yeah, so I actually just, the last council meeting, when Councilman Rivera did a presentation on, some site work need to be corrected, concrete work, over at the PD Community Center, and, we can motion out for a dollar amount. What was that exact dollar amount?
Exceed 35.
And 35,000, it's
Is this,
35,000.
is that the sidewalk?
That was a sidewalk, since then, after that meeting, a lot of that, work, I had concerns with that personally, because a lot of that really wasn't our fault, to municipalities, and it fell back on contractors, so it fell back on the engineer, from, the consulting, contractor engineer, the architect. And a lot of things going back and forth, that, you know, and I feel the determination is not our fault, we're carrying the burden of that, so, for one project in the sidewalk, Hall had ended up paying, the cost of that, they originally, we had a motion for going by to, go by, it was supposed to pay. And the second one, we are, able to clear and pay up. So those were two right there that originally, the government had approved on, that actually got both the, contractor and the engineer paid cost of, again. I believe it wasn't our fault that the severe, they found it.
So that's not included in this number then?
That's, so that announcement, we did not have to take on that.
Okay.
I also just want to point out, and Councilman Nash, point well taken, you know, we did get a pretty significant grant for, I think we spent on it, we did save millions in terms of design from where it started in 2016 to where we're at now, so I think in isolation, thinking more of these chambers is not ideal, but I think the big picture, save time, the development of great product.
Yeah, and Councilman Hall makes a great point, because, we've now put the, with the, $1.25 million grant we received, we're actually now to the point, where we actually plan to start this broadband. And I had a phone conference with them, last week, stuff we kind of use broadband versus we got completed on that, we center project, and, CFO Rick and I have a meeting tomorrow, start to put that into the system, so we can start drawing down and do reimbursements for that, so. And that is another, I'm glad you brought that up, I wanted to mention that as well.
Great.
Motion approved.
Motion,
Second,
Allison, may I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Paul,
yes.
Tina Sally, yes. Chloe?
Oh, sorry, yes. Yes. Here,
Pass.
yes.
Yes. Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Department reports, June 2025. Do I have a motion to accept, with a thank you?
Motion with a thank you.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. This is good to the borough. You're gonna stand and identify yourself, please, by clearly stating your address for the record. You're gonna please observe a time limit of 3 minutes. I actually have somewhere to go and someone really requested my presence, but I did want to make, two good to the borough myself before I leave. The first one is, at the last meeting, I failed to say, and it was, and I'd like to apologize, but I want to express Fairhaven Day was another resounding success. So to all the volunteers, foundation, I mean, every year it gets better and better, and I think our whole community really appreciates, the event and the work that goes into it. So thank you to everyone that was involved there. The second portion of that is, I think most people know that there was a horrifying accident at the corner of Ridge Road and Fairhaven Road, about a week ago. It's a miracle that the two young men, walked away, the two young men from our community, and, with minor injuries as well. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that, we've received a lot of emails from the community about this specific intersection. We are engaging with the county, Rumsfeld is engaging with the county as well as part of that process. We're taking this very, very seriously. We recognize that some, positive change has to happen in that location. And we're gonna be, very, very, thorough and continuing to work with the county to make sure that happens as early as, as late as today. I had a conversation with, Borough Administrator York about, crazy Josh idea about putting in a circle, whatever we gotta do to make the area safer for, for traffic we're gonna do. Obviously, it's a county road, so they're gonna have to be at the forefront of that, but we're gonna make sure that we make it as safe as possible for our residents and the visitors. So, I just wanna make sure that I preface that. I also, we gave a directive today to look at all the ferryman signs to make sure there's no foliage covering any of those signs, so that our pedestrians, our bicyclists, our cars can all see them and make informed decisions on what their next move is. And as always, I think about it in meetings, I bring it up, please, the e-bikes, to the kids and the parents, you know, they really, it's like a moped, it's like a motorcycle, you really have to be safe. And that goes to the cars too, know that they're out there on the road and just be very careful. We don't want anything to happen to anyone in the borough of Farragut. So, with that being said, I will open up for good of the borough. Please come on up, state your name and address for the record, and if you see me, well, I'm not being rude, I'm actually like 30 minutes late already.
I'll be quick again. Mayor, thank you for those comments. That's why I'm here tonight. I was on scene, right after the accident happened. Everybody was fine, as you said. We haven't agreed with the person who caused the accident and the young fellows who were in it. It's something that we talked about on this council while I was a member with Ronson and the county and ourselves, and we just were never able to pull something together. I think this is a good pivot point. We've been lucky. Nobody's been killed as far as I know. But there's 4 or 5 accidents a year there. I go down there all the time. I run down the street to make sure people are okay, and then all of our volunteers come, which is great. So I think signage, like you said, landscaping, like you said, narrowing the lanes, maybe even reducing the scale of that hill. People come down and do 50 or 60 miles an hour, and then they don't have a chance to stop. If somebody loaded that sign, maybe a new flashing light, who knows, a new traffic light or a new traffic pattern, and a traffic study is all the stuff we need. Chris Rodriguez, 134 by the weekend, started to do that at the beginning, but I just want to say thanks for jumping on. With the county immediately, I called the mayor, later that day, and they were going to take action and support the community, so I just want to thank you for your immediate action on it. Thank you.
Come on, sir.
No, I'm not coming in. Our friend was T-Bone at that intersection last fall, as a matter of fact. It's the speed limit.
Any accidents, from the Livingston side or the Farragut side, just, have been reported to the county as part of the study.
Just email that.
I have a quick one, goes to Borough Administrator Young and Nancy for recommending to us that the state health benefit plan, the decision is by May. They announced recently 37% increase. I was saying about taxpayers a fair amount of money. Thank you.
And before I ask for more, I also want to point out our tax rate payment. It went from, what's that?
600 to 1.42
There it is.
You guys have got good.
Are there any other good of the boroughs? No, Allison?
Mrs. Blazer.
Ruth? Hi, Ruth.
Good evening.
What's going
Good
on?
evening. What's going on is today in my mailbox, I found a notice. At the end of my driveway are 2 monstrous piles of leaves. However, they are not a traffic hazard to anybody. They do not block any of the marked parking spaces. And it was my understanding that after the storm last week, in which I lost major parts of 2 trees, that there had been a special pickup, which I was unaware of. However, I only can get labor and help at certain times. And other towns have dispensation clauses in their ordinances, whatever, for the benefit of disabled and senior citizens that give a little bit of leeway And I don't have internet in my house, so I don't get notice of these things. I believe that it is not out of the realm of possibility that the borough could swing by and pick these piles up. It will take me weeks, assuming I can do it, to put these branches in cans and put them out every other week. There are precious few of us senior citizens left in town. This is not a burden to the town. It's a matter of planning. And I would very much like to have them withdraw this notice to me or expect me to move these things. It is beyond my resources to do anything with them. So, as I say, it's just, I feel it is unfair and discriminates against those who cannot do the things they can do. And as I say, there are not that many of us left. It's not like it's going to be a burden all the time. I can see over them when I go out my driveway. They do not take any of the public parking spaces. Some of my neighbors park their stuff or put their stuff in the parking spaces. I don't. I pretty much adhere to the rules as they come along, but this was extraordinary. And I believe that because other people got their storm debris picked up, I should have these picked up.
Thank you, Ruth. The part about, you know, maybe having some different rules, I'm sure the governing body will consider that in the future. I don't know if being a good neighbor is a way, you know, to potentially lean on some people for some help. As far as your own specific summons, we don't litigate here on the dais, and we don't get involved in enforcement. But I appreciate the call, and I hope you're doing well, and more importantly, I'm glad you're safe from the storm. So.
Well, I just want other people in town to know that this is going on. Good night.
Thank you. Elson, anyone else?
No.
Okay, with that being said, we're gonna move to adjourn at 8:16 PM. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. Good night, Terry.
Oh,